your phone is most probably gonna crash. The intelligence was meh. These documents I upload to this model on my phone stay on my phone. Quantization is basically like 32-bit decimal and sort of compressing it to smaller integer, say like 8-bit or 4-bit ints. Is this thing on? What's up, my amazing friends on the internet? Welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be talking about something very interesting. Everyone says local AI is finally here. But after spending the past weeks wrestling with OpenClaw and trying to install it locally, running with local AI models, I have bad news for you. It's a mess. So we are promised speed, privacy, but the reality is broken dependencies, hardware bottlenecks, and the list is long. Is local AI actually ready for you or just a massive headache? I mean, don't get me wrong, local AI genuinely has an exciting potential, especially when we talk about privacy. But in today's video, we're going to cover a couple of reasons why I think local AI, while it is private, it comes with a catch. So I tried OpenClaw for the first time. I was so freaking excited to try it out. You know, we have been seeing news around the internet how it is just a beast of a tool, and I was genuinely excited. But after installing OpenClaw on my computer and me being normally an advocate for running local AI models with Llama, LM Studio, and Llama CPP, the setup was absolutely a mess. I cannot emphasize enough on how painful it was to set it up locally. I mean, if you are a non-technical person, you're pretty much going to have a hard time setting it up locally. Now, the thing is, if you are setting it up with an API key like OpenAI or Anthropic or maybe Google, setting it up with Google models, you're probably not going to have as much of a hassle setting it up. But if you're setting it up with local models, it can be pretty difficult. Now, once you set it up with the local models, depending on your space availability, what I mean by space here is in terms of your RAM and GPU, you are going to either get a fast generation or a very slow generation. And let's be honest, if you're running OpenClaw locally on your local hardware and having it generate at an extremely low rate, you're probably just wasting your time. So at a certain point, you might as well just plug in an API key and use it, which beats the purpose of running these models running it with models locally. Now, for context, I was setting it up on my MacBook Pro 2020 16GB RAM, 10 core CPU, 8 performance cores, 2 efficient cores, and 8 core GPU computer. And after even setting it up, the intelligence was meh, it wasn't the smartest thing out there. Of course, the bigger models that are hosted online on the cloud on these massive servers by these massive corporations are obviously way better than a model that I would be running locally on my computer or my phone. To give a little bit more context here as well, I ran Qwen 3.5, the 2 billion parameters model on my phone for gym stuff. Basically, it is fast, but it is noticeably less smarter. Now, for context here, more context here on the Qwen 3.5 models, they support approximately 200 languages with a 262 context window. They support thinking mode And my favorite feature is they are multimodal. It means that natively they understand text, video, and audio. Now, some of these models are quantized, and to be fair, these models, most of the time, if you want to run them on your local hardware, like be it your Mac or Windows or Linux computer on very limited CPU, or maybe running it on your phone, they're gonna have to be quantized for you to be able to run them on that hardware. Now, for those of you who have no idea what quantization is, essentially quantization is basically you're taking a model that is like 32-bit decimal and sort of compressing it to, you know, a smaller integer, say like 8-bit or 4-bit ints, right? Now, most of these models, you can run them on larger GPU or large memory, but if you want to take like a 32-bit model and, you know, try to run that on a phone, your phone is most probably gonna crash. Of course, depending on your GPU on your phone or RAM or whatsoever thing. But essentially, most of these models are highly quantized. And who talks about quantization talks about lost in intelligence, if I can put it that way. Now, when you quantize these models, there are some trade-offs, right? Like you lose certain I'm not sure how to put this in the simplest way possible, but you lose some amount of intelligence, right? So there is a just quantization, like a very just level where you shouldn't quantize it way further than that, or else you're gonna be running a pretty dumb model on your phone. And what's the purpose if you're going to be doing that anyway? You might as well just use ChatGPT or Claude or Google AI models. But the privacy is genuinely great though. Most of these models, when you're running them locally on your hardware, you don't need internet connection. You don't need to connect to an external server or anything of that sort. Everything runs locally. They stay on your device, meaning that your data is not being transferred to a large corporation like Google, OpenAI, or Anthropic. You are the owner of your data. Your data doesn't leave your device or anything of that sort. And personally, that's just one of the main reasons why certain things I would probably not use ChatGPT, and I would use a local model instead to, you know, skim through the document or ask maybe very specific personal questions to that model, because I know these questions or these documents I upload to this model on my phone stay on my phone, meaning that the data remains locally on my device. One thing though which I didn't see coming is the multimodal ability of these models when you're running them locally. Take for example Gemma 4 or Gwen 3.5, the 4 billion parameters model. I was running this model locally last time and I uploaded a receipt and I asked it to do some OCR, you know, basically extract data from that receipt and return me the info. And to be honest, it did quite great. I didn't see any, you know, errors or whatsoever thing. They are actually quite impressive. So if you're looking forward to set up a local pipeline where you want to do some OCR or detection on images or whatnot, then these models will surprise you. The bottom line is it's a cool concept, but cloud AI is still way ahead of all these local models for everyday use. And that's genuinely what I think. So I'm really curious to know, do you prefer to run your models locally on your hardware, having your data locally on your system? Or do you prefer running large models that are hosted by these large corporations like Google and Anthropic? Let me know down in the comments below. If you run your models locally, I'm also curious to know on what specific hardware you're running these models on. Are you running them on your phone, on your laptop? Now, I am going to be making a video on running local AI models on your smartwatch. Yes, that's right. You heard it right. Running large language models on your smartwatch. I'm not quite sure if I'm even gonna be able to pull this off, but let's see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below. Let me know on what hardware you're running your models on, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.